welcome back to a very new video. But if you're new, my name is Katja and this channel is my online diary about thousands of lives that I want to live through music, travel, language studies, books, basically all the things that I love in life. And today, it's Friday the 22nd of August, meaning a lot of amazing artists dropped their albums, like Laufey with her album A Matter of Time and Stray Kids with their newest full album, Karma. And y'all, let's just talk about the latter one first, and I will save Laufey for another day because I'm currently in my second listen of the album. And this is just first impressions, okay? Because I'm gonna go in depth later in this video, but I first need to talk about some things that stood out to me so much, and that is the energy. The energy is crazy high, and that's mostly in their works, but most of the time they also have a couple of songs that go a little bit slower. And even though there are songs with kind of a different message than the other songs on the album, the energy and the vibes stay high, and I think that is amazing. But on the other hand, I also can't see the guys do all these songs back to back on stage because they must be exhausted already after the second song. But yeah, that definitely does tell how high the energy is on this album. So when I was first listening to the album, like from top to bottom, all the songs have their own color, their own vibe, their own aura, whatever you want to call it. And I like that about Stray Kids. They always do that, even if the themes in the different songs are the same. But this time it felt different, and as of right now I don't have the words to explain it. But so an example I have is In My Head. When I listened to that song for the first time, I was midway through the song and I was like, no, pause and replay. Because this song sounds so much like the songs that I listened to when I was in elementary school. So the guys are a little bit younger than me, so they were also just in middle school or still in elementary school. But it is this pop, rock, punk vibe. And I'm like, this is such a blast to the past to me, even though I feel like sad that his first CD he ever bought was Avril Lavigne. And I have to say, it reminded me so much of her earlier music that I was like, okay, this feels like songs that they loved. Because there's even Yu-Gi-Oh! Did I even pronounce it right? I was so enthusiastic. Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! There's even like a reference to that in here, and that's so elementary school for me. So I thought it was so much fun to hear that, and that they make music about that. I think that's so funny. Anyway, besides all the personal touches of the guys, when we go back to the song In My Head, I loved how it reminded me so much of the 90s and zeros. Maybe, no, I don't think it was really the 2010s, because then we started to get a complete different shift of music again. But yeah, it definitely was in my middle school time, so I must say it was still in the zeros technically. So that song really is sticking in my head, which in my head makes sense. And then some other songs that I was like, okay, I love this. You know what? It's actually every song, but that stood out to me as a person directly, that I was like, okay, because I was just going through my room, I was cleaning up bits and bobs here and there, and In My Head made my head turn, Phoenix made my head turn, and 0801. Is there a different description, by the way, of that song, or are we gonna just pronounce it like that? I need to know. Anyway, yeah, those songs immediately stood out to me, but also the other songs. I like how they, like I said before, have their all their own vibe. I also loved the music video. I liked how it was actually a game, and then in the end we saw a very famous gamer of South Korea, and I thought it was so much fun that they implemented that. And it also made the music video, um, it made more sense that it was a video of a game, because it was like everything was going on all the time. And but at the same time it also felt so in line with everything that I have done before, that I was also not that surprised. But making it into a video game felt even better. So yeah, I was really amazed by everything I have seen so far. I am gonna explore more of the songs later down this video. But yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I also want to be talking about Laufey later down the line, and what I'm gonna read over the next few days, because I'm gonna start a new book actually. You know what? I'm gonna talk about that later. But yeah, so new books, also some language studies. I am currently mostly focusing on Korean and German, so I hope to bring you guys along with everything, with my music, with my learning progress, and the things I'm reading. Welcome to the weekend. Today it's Saturday, but this came in yesterday evening, but I wanted to wait until daylight to show it to you guys. But I got Stray Kids their very first final. You have no idea how excited I am. You know what? I'm gonna tell you why I'm so freaking excited. First up, this is their very first ever final that they put out. Second, you have no idea how hard it was to get this LP for a reasonable price in Europe. Because most of the LPs, because they put out 3 variants, were only released in the US and one, I believe, in Korea as well. But if I wanted to have it over here in Europe, it would cost me 90 euros. And I was like, 90? Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna pay that amount. So I was going through a lot of sellers, and in the end I found someone in the Netherlands who is an official seller that sold this album. And I was like, yes, I want that. And I didn't knew what the cover art was gonna be, so I was buying basically blinds. But honestly, I love this cover so much. From the 3 variants, this is actually my favorite one, I think. Just because I love the styling and I love how it feels very 90s, 05s. It reminds me a lot of the conversation we had yesterday about the album. Anyway, this is the Sapphire edition, and a lot of things are actually included. Let me see. So, oh yeah, over here. We've got a brand new group photo card, a poster, and I also saw something else yesterday online, but it could also be because it wasn't exclusive to the US, so I don't know, because apparently this one is pressed in the Czech Republic, but maybe everything is? I don't know how it works. Maybe everyone got one from the Czech Republic? Or is it just because it did ended up being over here in Europe? We'll have to see. Let's open it up. Plastic is off, so let's open it up. Oh, whoa. That looks amazing. So much so that my thick Dutch accent came out. Anyway, so we have all the songs on the sides. That's so well curated. I like that. Ooh, pretty. Okay, so what's in here? Oh, that's so lovely if it wants to focus. Does it? Oh, here we go. Oh, that's so cool. I don't think I have a group photo card. Do they even exist of Stray Kids? I mean, I have quite a few from Le Sserafim, but I don't think I have had any from Stray Kids except those unit cards. Anyway, this must be the poster. Is it the same? Yes, it's the same, but I like that. That's so freaking cool. Ooh, is there something in the back? Okay, Karma, Stray Kids, the 4th album. Lovely. And then this must be the final. I always get so scared opening a final just because I don't want my fingerprints to be all over it. Oh, whoa. I just saw a bit of the color. That is so freaking pretty. Whoa. It's really, really, really cool. But yeah, that was everything in there. But still, I think it's quite a lot. Especially because this is a full album. So to have a photo card and a poster, I think that's already super cool. This is the current final look. I like this so much. I mean, I don't know why, but for some reason I cannot wait for autumn this year, and these darker colors fits in perfectly. So we need to talk books because yesterday evening I finally finished this one. Yes, I would love to pronounce this, but I have tried in multiple takes and it never sounds quite right, or I can't pronounce it in between the English words. Do you also have that when you're talking in different languages, that you have a hard time to speak another language in between those languages? I hope I make sense, but I am sure a lot of people who speak multiple languages that they can all agree on that. So even though I can pronounce this on its own, I can't pronounce it when I'm also talking in English. It just sounds so wrong. But anyway, I finished this book and it took me some time, not because of the writing style of the author, it had completely to do with me. I have been in such a reading slump that it didn't seem to work out for me for some reason. But yeah, overall, I really liked the writing style. I also loved the different kinds of messages in the story, and I also really liked the different characters in the story and how they all connected so well together. And of course the bookshop itself, it sounded like a lovely place that I would want to visit one day. But anyway, we need to talk about the book that I want to read next. We moved over to my other bookcase and there we have this beauty, Silver Cloak by L.K. Stephen. You can probably tell it is a fantasy. Do I know what this book is about? No, because honestly, this author, she wrote so many other works like this one, and then she is writing under her own name. I mean, this is also still her own name, but stylized in a different way because this is her first adult and adult book. That sounded weird, but this is still YA-ish, I believe, and then these are for sure LA. Anyway, she's just my author by author, so I just buy whatever she writes and I love it. I discovered her for her comedy writing because that is really good, but originally she is a fantasy writer. However, the way how she got published, I believe, her first fantasy was not under her own name, if I am correct. I can't remember entirely anymore. But these are the books that she actually published under her own name. And, well, they popped off. I mean, they are very well known. And this one came out, I want to say July? Or was it June? No, July, because I actually, when I pre-ordered this book, I got something in the mail just last week and I have to show you guys. But first up, I need to show you guys something inside the book. Look at the sprayed edges. And then when we remove, oh, well, this is also really beautiful. But when we remove the dust jacket and we see the cloth bound book, isn't it stunning? I love this so much. So I do know It is about a magical system, and that's truly all I know. Okay, so I have to get real because I'm still in a reading slump. I probably won't finish this book at all during this vlog. So I will talk more about this book during my next vlog. I cannot wait, but I also cannot wait reading this book. I heard so many great stories about it, and well, the author is, for a reason, my author by author. By pre-ordering the book and sending the receipt to an email address that the author shared online, you could get these two prints, one of them being a map of the world that she has created in the book, and then a scene. And this one makes me super excited to read, like also the map. I love a good map. But I see a wolf, and I love stories that involves wolves. So, is this book gonna get me out of a reading slump? I really hope so. Because I really miss reading, but every time when I read and I just sit down, after like 5 or 10 pages, I'm distracted, I want to do something, and that's okay. Sometimes you're more in the output era rather than input, and I think that's where I'm at the moment, so it's all good. But I do hope that this is gonna be the book that let me sit down for at least 30 minutes a time so I can just enjoy some sitting down, quality time with myself, and also enjoying a good story. Once again, it is time to get my K-pop shelves ready for something new. So unfortunately, the Sserafim is moving out, at least this shelf. It is gonna be something else. You can probably guess. It is gonna be Stray Kids with Karma. Not the LP. The LP is hanging above my bed in a frame. But over here I will sort out the CD versions. And yes, I bought multiple ones for a good reason, but I will explain it in the next vlog because they won't be arriving this week, or if they do, it's gonna be outside the time frame of this vlog, unfortunately. But yeah, Le Sserafim is moving out. I'm so sorry, babes. But over here, I am gonna keep it Stray Kids VIP, the concert day, because, well, it was very recent still, and also I just want to hold on to these memories a little bit longer in a very visual way that I will look at every day when I wake up and, well, when I'm just roaming around in my room. Anyway, and then, yeah, this doesn't look cute, so we have to change that up as well. And, ooh, I totally forgot to show you guys. I got Le Sserafim, two more Japanese versions, one of them being the last one, and that's different. But this beauty finally came home to me. So it is a funny story how I found this album. It is on the same website as I found the vinyl of Stray Kids. And that vinyl was super hard to get for a reasonable price, like I said before. But when I was browsing that website and I was looking for Le Sserafim, all of a sudden I found this album and they had it. Like, they had it in store, and I was like, what? I have been looking for this album for 2 years or something like that now. And then it was there all along in my own country, because I have been looking for this album in multiple countries. Belgium, England, ooh, sorry babes, Germany, Austria, so many places in the Netherlands, but clearly not the right one. So I'm freaking happy that I finally got this album. And also different, for some reason this version of the album was so hard to get, and then it was just there. So I finally found out about a website that I will use for more K-pop stuff and J-pop as well, because they even have a lot of Japanese versions of Western artists. And if you are a bit more familiar with the Japanese music market, a lot of artists, like also even Western, they have a Japanese version of their album. Not necessarily that they always sing in Japanese. Some do. But it is mostly a special edition. Like Olivia Rodrigo did Got Spilled. She brought that out on CD only in Japan. That's the album that I hope to get one day, but it has been sold out everywhere. But I really want to have Got Spilled on CD. But yeah, this was just showing an example of how funny and interesting the Japanese music market is. Let's get cleaning because I also need to dust off a lot of things and then rearrange. So let's do that. I love Le Sserafim's Hot over here so much that I'm just gonna keep it as of right now. Same goes for Different, and of course VIP concert day. It was amazing. But this, it's empty and it is waiting. Well, empty. I do have the acrylics that I use to showcase everything, but yeah, it's empty. I cannot wait till karma arrives. And then, okay, so here's the thing. I am just in a concert mood. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna turn around Maniac to showcase that, and Wolf Chennies are standing here proudly. And then Le Sserafim, I kept it more clean right now, just because I want the attention to go to other places soon. But I still like the macaron over here. I think it looks so cute and it's so fluffy. It's so soft. So yeah. And also I adore showcasing this teddy bear Swarovski necklace. Just because. And if you are a fair nod, just like me, then you probably know when the girls started wearing these as well. And that's also when I bought it, because I thought it was already so cute when I saw it online. And then I saw them wearing it in, it was in one of their, ooh, what is it called? In their Lennyfers? I believe so. And that made me decide, like, yes, I need to get that necklace. Anyway, then we go over here. Nothing really special. Just a bunch of albums. On this Tuesday, aka package day, I got myself an LP case because I was running out of space in the LP frames that hang above my bed. I only have 3, so that's it. And I currently have 4 LPs. So I was like, you know what, I have a lot of dust in my room, unfortunately, just because it is an older house and it accumulates a lot of dust. And I was like, yeah, no, I want my LPs to be safe. So here we go. I am really happy with this purchase. It also looks so cool. And I got it for a really good deal. So I'm super happy. So yesterday evening we heard that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged. I couldn't be more happy for people I've never met in real life, but I am. And then tonight we have The Summer I Turned Pretty episode 8, aka your girl doesn't know what to do with herself anymore. So just one step at a time. It's a lot of information to process, but I'm super happy. Cannot wait for the weekend, however, because I need to recuperate, time to digest, time to, I don't know, this is gonna be a lot. And especially this episode, I know it's gonna be a lot, but at the same time I cannot wait until it's evening and I can sit down and watch this episode, because yeah, cannot wait. Welcome to the wrap-up part of this video. We first need to talk about my language studies, because over the course of this week I haven't been studying the traditional way, which is all good because I had some projects and I also had a freelance job to do. So, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And this was one of those weeks, but I did shadow a lot. So for Korean, I was watching the K-drama Beyond the Bar, and I really like how the scenes are set up. I like how they have little twists and turns in the episode, but I also like how straightforward the characters are, meaning they don't necessarily lie. Like, how do I explain this well? I like how they don't hide certain personality traits, which I think is so funny. I don't want to spoil anything, so I will just say there are a couple female characters that normally we would see them in a very different daylight, but they decided to be very upfront in the way how they act. And I think that is so much fun because it creates a certain dynamic on screen, which makes it just interesting to watch, but also to see the storylines unfold. So yeah, I highly recommend that K-drama. And actually, what I think is so funny, because I have been trying to mimic certain things that they are saying, and it got to a point that I started dreaming in Korean. And I have dreamt in Korean before, but this one was quite strong because I have dreamt multiple times over the last few days in Korean and in German, which also kind of makes sense because after I'm done watching the K-drama, I have been reading either Silver Cloak or this one, and this is Farbenrauschen by Kira Grow. This is the second book in a trilogy. I really like the first one because it is... So, the whole trilogy is set at a marketing agency called Sweet Lemon Agency. And the first book, the main character, she is new at the agency. So just you, the reader, get to, and her, of course, you get to know the agency. But the second book is about someone who has worked there for some years now, I believe. I'm not that far in, but I really like how it is so different from the first novel, but at the same time you can tell it's in the same setting, but it's a girl with a completely different life experiences. And I also really like that the main character has quite a few tattoos, and as someone who also has tattoos, I always enjoy reading about main characters who also love tattoos and getting those and whatnot. So yeah, really like this book. So you can imagine that I have been dreaming in multiple languages. I don't think I have dreamt in Dutch, so my native tongue, in a very long time. Now I think about it. Mostly I actually dream in English. Just because I work so much in the English language, and nowadays I also work quite a bit in German, that I'm honestly happy that one of my freelance jobs at the moment, that it is in Dutch, so I can at least do something with my own language, because I don't use it. I still use it daily, but not as much as I used to, which is fine because I like to be international things doing, mindset, whatever. But yeah, I also think it's very important to uphold my native tongue. Anyway, so we've got language studies out of the way. Books. What's the next thing? Music, I guess, right? Okay, I want to talk about Laufey. First, let me pull up my notes. I have decided, because I'm really scared that this vlog will be way too long, and I also focused more on Stray Kids the last week. Why did so much music drop, and also musical news drop over the last week? Like, I haven't even listened to Kepler, and their latest album came out even before Laufey and Stray Kids. I really need to do that as well. But anyway, so A Matter of Time. I have listened to this album now, I think a total of 4 times, like from A to C. I really like it. What I think is super interesting about this album is that it ties in the earlier two albums, the full albums of her. But with this album, we go deeper into the roots, if you get what I mean. Because I don't know how else to describe this, because this is definitely a new Laufey sound. But on the other hand, we see topics that she has talked about before, but I don't want to say necessarily that it's more personal, because I think all her works have been very personal, but it feels like we're peeling this onion and we're going to the next layer, kind of like we're going deeper into the roots. I mean, as human beings, becoming an adult, it's also sometimes even a surprise to ourselves who we are, or who we decide to become, or how did we get to certain places. And I really have the feeling that A Matter of Time is about that kind of process. Forget Me Not. I so when I was listening to the album, sometimes it's more on the background, sometimes I'm more focusly listening. That's not a word. Well, it's a word, but not in the right way. When I was more listening to it, that's not the sentence. I've been studying so many languages or shadowing them that I can't even speak English anymore. But I was more listening to the album with a focused mindset. And Forget Me Not, I remember that I put this album on the first time and I was just going on about my room. I was just putting some bits and bobs away. And Forget Me Not was one of those songs that I turned my head and I was like, what? And it also has to do with the fact that there are Icelandic lyrics in there, which made it so much fun to listen to. I love when Laufey sings in Icelandic. So I was really happy to hear that kind of song on here. I'm also really grateful that she put out Seems Like Old Times, the bonus track, online already so fast. That really made it a fun listen to, because at first Sabotage is the last song on there, and I thought that was really interesting to have that one as the last song, because, well, she really is sabotaging certain parts of the song. If you have listened to it, or if you haven't, please do, because it is a very interesting song. Please don't necessarily listen to it with headphones on. Like, it's quite an intense song. I would not recommend that. But to me, it signifies an end of sort of a trilogy, because I'm not necessarily sure, because we need to know what the next album is before we can say so. But as of right now, it feels like this is the end of certain things she has made before, and this whole album, it all leads to Sabotage. And then it's actually quite funny then that entitled, like, Seems Like Old Times, is the bonus track, so it becomes the 15th song on the album. It feels like it goes back around like Clockwork, and Clockwork is her first song on this album. So it feels really poetic to me to go through these songs and listen to them very carefully one by one. But yeah, I will talk more about the album in the next vlog, but these were some of my first thoughts that I was like, whoa, I really like this album. It has that, just that something extra. It's like there's a new layer, but also you have the old vibes of her other albums and the storytelling. But I do have to say, the storytelling in this album is next level compared to her other works. She really stepped up the game. And I also like that she worked together with Aaron Dessner for this album. I can see his influence in here as well. I'm a big fan of the producer. He creates things that not necessarily someone would think of. Is that the word? I'm not entirely sure, but I really liked what he did with Taylor Swift, her works. And what was this other artist that I was really impressed by he worked with? I can't remember right now, but I think he is, yeah, he really stands out in his work, in his way of creating things. Yeah. I have so many things to say, but I will save it. Let's move over to Karma, Stray Kids. I am still in the process of digesting this album, even though it has been a week now. I am blown away by how good this album is. And I believe I said the same thing in the intro, so it's quite funny that I still think the same thing. But so my first reaction right now, or not my first, but as of right now, like after listening to this album for a whole week, most of the songs on here, and that's also what the guys wanted to create, are title track worthy. And I really feel that because I have still so many thoughts to process, because these songs are all so ginormous in size and what to talk about, and each song has their own layers that it takes time to digest, rather than a lot of other albums that has a title track and then a few B-sides, and certain B-sides are title track worthy, but not every track on there is title track worthy. So albums like those are a bit easier to digest because the topics discussed in certain songs, they are a little bit more minimal, which makes it easier to talk about those. I hope you get it. Anyway, so I am gonna go over this track by track. However, I will make an essay about this album on my blog. A lot of motorbikes were just passing my house, so I was like, it's not audible, anything what I'm gonna say right now. And the next thing is, I don't know where I was with my thought process. So I'm just gonna go and hope that I start back again where I left it off. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, so I will put an essay up on my website that I go very much in depth about each song. But for the sake of not to make this vlog too long, I will just go quickly song by song, and yeah, let's have some fun talking about the songs. So Bleep is the first song on here, and I really thought it was interesting to choose a song like that to be the first song because you really start with what the, and then it gets bleeped really loudly, so they really are like, okay, let's go in with a bang. And then we have Bang Chan singing I was born to take off, you know my life is tied up, the path ahead stretches far like a long curve, beautiful pain that I earned by pushing through. And it makes so much sense that they start the album like that, like what the bleep, and then go into very straightforward lines. It really sets the tone of the whole album, and I can't imagine any other song on this album to be the first one except Bleep, because it really goes in nicely to Ceremony. I really thought it was interesting because even oh wait, I have a light bulb moment at the moment, because When I was watching the music video, I thought it was interesting that Bang Chan doesn't really has lines. He only says hip hip hooray, and that's pretty much it. And of course, he's always all over the songs. He does a lot of the ad libs and the background vocals and stuff like that. But what I thought was really interesting about the music video, because it kind of explains why those are the only words. You see him in a dress code, and it's very reminiscent to his favorite movie, and one of his all-time favorite songs is from that movie, and that's The Greatest Showman. And he wears the red one, and I mean, that is very on purpose that it is red, like The Greatest Showman. Meaning, as the leader, he is basically leading. Because with the hip hip hooray, like if you sing the birthday song, that's super loud, it's super in your face. He is basically leading the marching bands, or his own bands, into whatever they go through. And so the light bulb moment came when I just said like, oh, these were his first lines in Bleep. It makes so much sense that he had the first lines in Bleep. First off, it fits his voice perfectly when it comes down to the music, but being the first voice on the album makes so much sense because he's leading the guys. And then in Ceremony, he basically is not the main focus, is not the main focal in that sense. It are the other guys, but he is still leading in a way by the hip hip hooray. So I think it's super interesting that he did that, because I am sure he thought about this. He's very particular in that way, and I mean that with all positive, with a positive mind, because he is just such a creative, and he's very much, he understands music in a different way, which makes listening to Stray Kids music in general such a pleasant experience to do so. So yeah, we go into Ceremony, and technically the song is quite short when it comes down to lyrics. There aren't that many, but the other songs that come after Ceremony are parts of how the guys got there in a certain way. I like how Creed goes into depth about the lyrics that were sung in Bleep and Ceremony and tied in so nicely together. And then comes Mess, and Mess is the first song on this album that I'm like, this would not necessarily be a title track, but then again, what I really like about this song is that it talks about the message that Stray Kids talks about a lot, and that is being lost. The lyrics explore feelings of confusion and a desire to escape a cluttered state of mind. And I like that the song comes after the other songs like Ceremony and Creed and even Bleed, because it describes another side of the coin. And then I like that In My Head comes next, because it explains kind of the messy feeling, but also more like, hey, it's okay. And this song is still the song I'm most obsessed about, because I talked about this with other stays and we're all said the same thing. They are even a little bit older than me, so they grew up even more with that kind of music than me, but we all said like, okay, this is so Zeros pop rock. I am obsessed with the kind of song like that. It's so freaking good. And then we go to Halftime, and they describe so many other American football references in, was it 5-star? Yeah, 5-star. But I believe also an 8. Is it? I mean, they reference it to it a lot, like sports metaphor. So I really like that it's on here as well. And also it is kind of a state of mind, like, okay, it's halftime, so what's next? And that's of course the phoenix, because he's rising from the ashes. I like that song as well so much. It has this, it really ties in so many other things that I already said on this album, but it truly, the story is starting to fly, like literally rising from the ashes. But I like that this song is so high in energy. And then we go to Ghost. And so talking about what songs could have been a title track and what not, like Mess, I would not necessarily say, like I said before. Kind of it does because of what the song is about. In my head, even though I love that song, okay, so the only reason why I do see it as a title track is because I can see the music video come to life in my head. I would almost say it's like a 143 title track. And because I can see the guys just goofing around in someone else's brain and then waking up and then have this very Zero's music video kind of type of style. I see that happening so much. And then the next song that I'm like a little bit less of title track is Ghost and 0801. Ghost, I see it a little bit less as a title track. Not necessarily about the music production, because I think that is very title track worthy. It's more about the lyrics that I'm like, okay, yeah, I see it a little bit less as title track type of style, but still, because of the high energy, I do see it in there. 0801, it's a song made for Stace. But nevertheless, I really like that one. I really love this album. It's so good. I'm also super happy that they put the ceremony festival version and the English version on here, especially the festival version. I like this kind of remix. It is so much fun. I like how they played around with different sounds, how they turned upside down the lyrics and just make it all into a party. Anyway, I will go on about this album a lot more on my blog very soon. This video will be probably up before the blog will be up, so I will link it down below once it is live on my blog. But if you truly cannot wait, just follow my Instagram and then I will post over there once the blog is live. Anyway, that's it for now for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to discuss the album with me, you can do so in the comments down below or on my social media. And I cannot wait for my next vlog because there are so many other things that I really want to talk about. Maybe I'm gonna go into more depth about Stray Kids in the next vlog because my albums should arrive next week. Fingers crossed. Anyhow, I hope you have an amazing day and see you next time. Okay, bye!